Hello, and welcome to Francis Comfort News Channel. I'm your host, Kaylee on the Spot, reporting to you live regarding the growing number of seniors facing homelessness. On this channel, we discuss all things related to real estate, so please hit the subscribe button to follow for more. California accounts for about a third of the nation's homeless people, and among this population, seniors are estimated to be the fastest growing group. One key indicator is the state's tally of people accessing homelessness services. From 2017 to now, California's overall senior population grew by 7%. The number of people 55 and over who sought homelessness services increased by 84%. More than any other age group, according to the state's homeless data integration system. For comparison, the number of people accessing homelessness services across all ages increased 43% during this time period. Elderly people who are homeless include those who have been unhoused for a long time and are getting older. But they also include those who are part of a growing trend. Research shows people experiencing homelessness for the first time after age 50. Those at increased risk of losing shelter tend to be older adults who live alone and on fixed incomes with little to no savings. A main contributor, experts say, is that as California rents soar, seniors' income streams, including Social Security benefits and supplemental security income, have not kept up. For many of us, there's a picture in our mind connected to substance abuse or mental health issues. And for maybe a quarter of people who are currently unhoused, that is a cause. But most people becoming homeless today do so for economic reasons, said Sharon, which is the executive director at a nonprofit group that operates several services for older adults, including transitional housing. As someone in this age group, I can tell you, it's remarkable to think about. You kept yourself up, employed, housed, and above water this whole time period. And in what ought to be golden years, here you are out on the street, she said.
Zeta Flowers is packing up the Oakland, California home where she raised her 4 adopted children. At 80 years old, she's being forced to leave.
It's not fair. It's not fair. Tell me which one you like.
Flowers runs a daycare out of her home, but the pandemic decimated her small business. Her rent, she says, became unaffordable.
Before COVID, had you ever not paid your rent?
Oh, no.
Never.
Not ever. No.
Like many major cities, Oakland prohibited landlords during the pandemic from kicking.
Before we get too far into this, I do want to mention that we have created a couple of videos about Section 8, Section 6, Section 8, tax credit. However, we have individuals that constantly comment on our information and letting us know that everything needs to be cut. Well, what about for our seniors? What needs to happen for our seniors that are the most vulnerable individuals? What needs to be done to help these individuals?
Kicking out tenants unable to pay their rent. But after the 3-year-long moratorium ended last July, landlords were allowed to begin demanding a year's worth of back rent and evict tenants who didn't pay up.
We're seeing an alarming rise in the eviction of low-income seniors.
Attorney Ann Tomiko Amora is the executive director of the Eviction Defense Center.
Seniors were hit very, very hard by COVID. A lot of them, they have fixed incomes, right, like Social Security, that barely covers the rent.
Clients are elderly. That's up 17% compared to pre-pandemic. Nationally, seniors are now the fastest growing age group experiencing homelessness, roughly 140,000 and counting. Omura's nonprofit took on Zeta's case after the Oakland native received a notice from her landlord demanding she pay nearly $18,000 in owed rent or move out in 3 days.
You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me, right? $18,000 from someone that is on a fixed income, making their way, hustling. $18,000, and then you got to move in 3 days. If they're already elderly on a fixed income, that means they already need assistance. How will she pack up all of her belongings and things in 3 days? So if she doesn't have the money to pay the rent, how would she be able to get any assistance to move? Because, I mean, these things aren't free, right? When you need a U-Haul, when you need 2 men in a truck, 4 men in a truck, it costs money. Where are they going to get this money from?
What went through your mind?
They didn't care. To expect me to move that fast, like in 3 days, impossible.
Tenants can legally fight off their eviction for rent missed during the pandemic if they can show they endured a substantial financial hardship as a result of COVID-19.
My client has responsibilities.
Real estate attorney Mark Chernev represents Zeta's landlord.
As unfortunate as it is, small property owners can't subsidize these types of situations. It's not fair to ask them to.
Now, I do understand on the flip side of things. We'll wait to the end. We'll wait. Just 1 second.
He says renters need to have documentation proving their struggles and may also need to hire an attorney.
What would you say to those who argue that this puts an unfair burden on the shoulders of tenants because the only way to make the defense is to have to go through this legal process?
If it's truly the result of substantial financial hardship, you would have bank records, you would have credit card bills, you would have loss of income that you could show, you could have decreased of hours that would be pretty easy to prove up.
Instead of going to court,
you would have bank records, you would have credit card bills, you would have loss of income that you could show, you could have decreased of hours that would be pretty easy to prove up.
Instead of going to court, Zeta Flowers reached a settlement with her landlord that forgives her owed rent and provides her with moving expenses if she leaves by next month.
I had help. I'm seeing seniors out pushing carts now because they're homeless.
After more than 2 decades here, she now plans on leaving Oakland in hopes of finding a new home she can afford.
Research has shown that living on the streets, eating and sleeping poorly, being exposed to elements, not getting proper medical care, and losing medication during encampment suites will prematurely age, sicken, and kill people. That is why when speaking about the homeless population, advocates and experts often refer to seniors as anyone 50 and above. By the time homeless people are in their 50s and early 60s, they look much more like other people in their 70s and 80s. Everything has shifted back about 20 years. The health problems that we normally associate with aging, vision problems, hearing problems, cognitive impairments, difficulty bathing, difficulty walking, all of those things start much younger. Their situation could also trigger anxiety, depression, and substance abuse. Access to housing assistance can be difficult given the current lack of availability and the high and growing demand among low-income older adults. Today's recap, we discussed growing number of seniors facing homelessness due to things are just really getting out of control, living expenses, everything is just expensive to breathe or breath fresh of air. It'll cost you. And what do we do if we're on a fixed income? One bad rainstorm happens and you have to use your last little bit of savings to do repairs on the home. What do we do when we're out of what do we do when we're at this point? Where do we go? How can we get better? What situations can be done for the seniors to really enjoy the life, I almost want to say, because as you get older, things start aching, and it really gets hard to find help if you're widowed, if you don't have children. A lot of older people don't have children. Now they're older, they may not have siblings. What do you do when you're in this type of situation? Now, I understand I want to bring up two things. One, the flip side of things, these individuals that are renting these homes. Yes, I do understand the landlord side of things. However, we know what we get ourselves into when we are in a certain type of line of work. And the goal in real estate, what we strive to do is to provide quality and affordable housing. So that means no matter how increased things go, you as a landlord have a decision that you can make to keep things affordable. You have that decision to make it less affordable when things go up. You can go up with everybody else, or you can be that landlord that gets a tax credit due to you keeping your rent affordable, even with all the crisis that's going on. There's a way. That's why I don't understand, I don't really agree with landlords and increasing rent, because they have a choice not to increase rent. But if you let's say you kick out Miss Flowers, she's been there for 2 decades, paying you faithfully with no problems until she's hit with some unforeseen circumstances. When she's gone, right? Let's say she leaves, she's already leaving. You get another tenant in. There's nothing that's causing any unforeseen circumstances, but they're not paying. Now you at square one again. So being a landlord, I am saying you have a decision to make. Short-term and long decisions does make or break situations like this. Meaning short-term, yes, you can get money. That's a short-term. But long-term, if you have to keep getting new tenants, that's not a good thing either. Then you start paying in between months when your home is vacant, eviction costs, and all these other things. And then two, I do want to mention that our elders, yes, they're becoming homeless. However, even if they were to get assistance at, let's say, a facility where they can go do assisted living, where they live in a community with other older seasoned folks and they're living there, right? Just because they're living there, if they're already older and coming off the streets and they have health problems due to not being able to seek medical attention, not being able to keep up with their medicine because of the encampment suites, and all of these things, once they get to assisted living, unfortunately, does not have a medical provider there as well either, whether that's a doctor, a nurse. Those things are not at these facilities. So yes, they do have a roof over their head, but essentially if they don't have the children, if they don't have the siblings, if they don't have the spouse, they're still kind of not living out their full life because they're still limited on mobility. They may be limited on, because they still don't have the caregiver, the money for the caregiver to be in the facility. It would take about maybe $90,000 per nurse, per doctor, and it's plenty of assisted living facilities out here. So I'm saying that to say that we understand that it's not a quick fix. We're not looking for a quick fix overnight. We understand all of those things. However, we're just looking for some sort of solutions. I don't believe anybody should be homeless, but if someone's going to be homeless, I sure don't think it should be our elderly. And unfortunately, they're getting caught in this situation right now due to the aftermath of the panorama and things like that, and they're getting hit hard. So if you have any loved ones that are elderly, start looking up different programs that they can go to. We know an elderly individual couple that is moving to Texas from North Carolina. So I say that to say, no matter where you are, if you find a program that has assisted living is in a warm area, because they say as you get older, you get cold and things like that, even when it's hot outside. So look, and if you can, go and live out your life and enjoy your life and really have a good time. So I believe I've talked enough. I'm your host, Kaylee, and I'm checking out. See you on the next one, guys. See ya. Thanks for watching.